Laurie from Wayfind Marketing. I'm here with Steve Phipps, our president and fearless leader, and we just want to come on today and touch base with you. You know, there's a lot of crazy things going on in the world right now, and it's having a real impact on small businesses around the world, to be honest. And, we've been talking about it as a team. Our team's worked virtually since we began 5 years ago. And we thought we had some things we could share that might offer some encouragement and also equip you to not just survive, but thrive during this time of transition and making sense of the new normal we all find ourselves in. So I just want to kick this over to Steve, our president of Wayfind Marketing, give him a chance just to introduce himself and talk a little about his heart behind having this live broadcast today.
Hey, thanks, Amy Laurie. So my name is Steve Phipps, and I'm the founder and president of Wayfind Marketing. I started the company 5 years ago. Actually launched it 3 days after getting home from an adoption trip to China. And right now is a crazy time to be a business owner. And so what we're doing here at Wayfind is we're launching a weekly live stream that we're also going to turn into a podcast. So this is the very first one we're doing. So, we're kind of figuring some of this out as we go, but the whole goal of this is the reality of running a business is that it's challenging on its best days. I've owned several companies. I owned a Chick-fil-A franchise. I've owned another consulting business, and I've helped lead other businesses as well. You've got 1,000 things to do. There's never enough time to get it all done. And especially now, if you're having to move your team home, everybody's working remotely. Maybe that's a new setup for you. But really, whatever the circumstances, I believe that running and growing your business should be easier. And so we're creating this broadcast and this podcast as a way to do really two things. And that's to encourage you as a business owner, as a business leader, and to equip you to build a thriving business. And, we've got a lot of clients. We have a lot of friends who right now it's challenging times. And so, Laurie, that's really, the heart of what we want to do through this weekly live stream is provide some information that's going to be helpful. It's going to be encouraging to make running a business a little bit easier. And so folks know that they're not out there by themselves.
It's funny that we're sitting here talking about mindset shift, how to simplify things when you can't do business as usual. And I'm sitting here at my house outside because my kids are inside trying to have this live broadcast and the garbage truck's about to roll down the road. So this is life, man. These are the conditions that we're working under now. And I just want you to give us a second and think about what does it look like to simplify right now? I mean, there's a lot of people with fear and with panic and uncertainty. Simplifying things might be the last thing on their mind, but maybe that's what we need to do. Could you speak to that?
Yeah, so that's a really good point. The idea of simplifying. Honestly, right now, one of the ways in terms of simplifying is we're just limited in the number of activities that we can do. Schools are closed, churches are live streaming. So, people are going to be spending a lot more time at home. A lot of businesses, instead of having time traveling to and from the office, to and from meetings, meeting with clients, it's going to be a lot more time spent in the office or at home. And so one of the things in terms of simplifying is really having the opportunity to step back and evaluate what's working, what's not, what adjustments and changes someone wants to make, and really thinking through their business, not only in terms of now. There's a lot of decisions to be made now. People, it's easy to feel overwhelmed, but also in the midst of that, trying to think through what are the decisions that we can make now that are going to put us in a good place when things start to come back.
So what's one thing that you would say to the small business owner who might be watching this right now? They've just found themselves working at their kitchen table, their kids are out of school, they're trying to figure out just what a new normal and a new daily schedule looks like. What's one practical thing they can do right away?
I would say just give yourself grace. give your team grace, give your customers grace. And honestly, kind of in the context of that, just turn off the TV, turn off the news, check it once a day, because it's just that constant bombardment of news, all these things. I mean, there's a practical reason to stay up to date, but just give yourself grace, give your team grace. And just know that it's going to take a while to figure things out. And that's one of the things that we want to be able to do is we want to help provide some tools and resources in some of these upcoming live streams to help business owners navigate some of these things, because working remote, that's new for a lot of people. And, we've been doing it for 5 years, and we've got 7 people spread out from California to Virginia. And so we can share some of the things that we've learned. We'll be able to talk about things that people can do now from a marketing perspective to either stay in front of customers. People are still going to be buying. Not everybody's customers, so there's certainly going to be impact. But even looking at things that people could be doing now to put themselves in a good position when things do come back.
That's great. So we're calling it navigating business.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of a broad topic. What should people expect from our new broadcast?
So 2 things I would say they can expect. One is encouragement. It's hard being a business owner. There's all sorts of emotions that get rolled into that, and business owners feel a sense of responsibility for their team, for their customers. That every business owner I know wants to do a good job. So I want to make sure that business owners feel encouraged, that they're not alone, that there's hope, and the other thing is equipping. So we'll have different topics. In one of the upcoming broadcasts, we want to have a friend who is an executive coach with John Maxwell, and have him come in and just talk about mindset. What are things that we can do to have a positive outlook, or how do we, instead of reacting, shifting to more of a proactive approach, but having practical tools that can equip business owners. We're definitely going to talk about marketing, because that's a lot of times marketing is one of the first things that businesses will shut down when things get tight. But there's still things that people can do from a marketing perspective to try to grow their business. Things that can be done now to either help improve business conditions now, maybe win some business. There's opportunity in some of these things to move forward, and capture some new clients, or at least be in a position to grow when things do come back. So encouragement and practical equipping.
That's something that we talked about before. This idea of people aren't going to stop spending money, but the money's shifting. So what would you say about innovation in a time like this?
You're absolutely right. There's some businesses, there's some industries right now that are making more money than they've ever made. And by contrast, there are some businesses right now that are basically shut down. So it's one of the things for business owners to consider, and we're having these conversations as a team here at Wayfind, is what can we do now to serve our customers? What are things that we can do to serve our future customers that maybe it's changing some of our services? One of the things that we've thought about doing is maybe we do an online training course. Maybe we do some live training. And so that way for business owners who they don't have a lot of marketing budget, they're trying to tighten up. Well, maybe we can provide them with some of those resources and some training that helps them think through how to reposition some of their services to better serve their customers. I'll give you one great example of a restaurant in Seattle that I read about last week. And it's an upscale restaurant. Basically what they decided is they shut down their upscale restaurant, and a few days later basically opened 3 small restaurants. And so they did a bagel cafe in the morning, come by, get your coffee and breakfast. At lunch, you could come by and get a to-go meal. And then for dinner, they were actually preparing take-home meals. And so they basically reinvented their business. There's another person on our team, Heather, who's down in Austin. And she shared the example of her pediatrician who sent out a notice and said what they were going to do is in the mornings at the office, they were going to do well child visits.
Mm-hmm.
And in the afternoons, close the office and do consultations virtually and by video call. And so in doing that, they're completely adjusting their model. They're creating safety for that felt safety for their patients. Because, you know, with everything going on, parent doesn't want to take their child to a place where they're going to be concerned of getting inundated by all these other germs. So by focusing specifically on the well child, you know, parents can have that confidence of going to the office, but they're still serving families through the telemedicine. So those are two examples of businesses that are innovating. And sometimes it just takes having a call with somebody to ask questions and think through from a different perspective.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's the idea of panic or don't panic, pivot, right? And
Exactly.
I think that's something that you really want to focus on in our next broadcast. Do you want to tee that up for anybody who might be wanting to tune in next time?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it is absolutely natural to have fear and anxiety over everything that's going on, especially as a business owner. A lot of concerns, a lot of fears. Am I going to make payroll? You know, what's going to happen to revenue, et cetera. But there can also be a mindset shift in terms of how we view things. Is there opportunity here? And so that's where we're going to have somebody come in here in the next week or two to really talk about that. We're not going to minimize the difficulty by any means. We can't. That is reality. In the midst of that, though, how do we look for opportunities? What are things that we can do to adjust? And really, it's this idea of how do we grow through this? So that'll be a big point of focus on our next one.
All right. That's great. That's a lot to look forward to. We have a lot that we want to share with our friends here on Social Media Live. And we just want to recap briefly. This is Navigating Business with Wayfind Marketing, President Steve Phipps. And this whole broadcast is entirely devoted to serving you well during this time of transition and helping you find ways that you may not have thought of yet that could help your business thrive, not just survive during what otherwise could be a really stressful time. So we want to give you encouragement. We want to equip you. We want to give you practical things you can do right away, actionable ideas, so that you can keep humming along as best you can and maybe discovering something that you hadn't thought of before. So this is Navigating Business, and we look forward to seeing you guys again really soon. Thanks for tuning in.
Oh, and one other quick thing. If go to wayfindmarketing.com/live. There's a place there where you can just put in your name and an email address, and we'll send out a notification to let you know when our next live stream is going to be. That's one of the things where we want to figure out is when's the best time to do this consistently. But until then, again, just go to wayfindmarketing.com/live. You can sign up there, and we'll be sure to let you know.
Thanks, Steve. See you soon.
All right. Bye, guys.